Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Purnamadav Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavatpadam Shankaram Lokashankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrabhashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeri Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavadvyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Chaitanyam Sarvagam Sarvam Sarvabhuta Guhashayam Yat Sarva Vishayatitam Tasmai Sarvavide Namaha. Astitavat swayam nama Jnanam vatmanya devava Bhava bhavajnatastasya Na bhavastvadigamyate Yena digamyate bhavaha Tatsat syat tanna ched bhavet Bhava bhavana bhignatvam Lokasya syanna cheshyate Sadasat sadasat cheti Vikalpat pragyadishyate Tadadvaitam samattvatu Nityam chanyad vikalpitat. Astitat swayam nama tavodasti iti avivadam. The one who is contending, arguing, trying to prove something or the other, that one has to be there. Before that, the arguments cannot arise anyway. Therefore, swayam nama tavat asti. That is called, there is a swayam, one's own self. Such a jnanam va, atma, anyadeva va. Param vikalpa, what it is that can be vikalpa or kalpana, imagination, projections, opinions. What it is, jnanam va, call it consciousness. Atma va, somebody may call it atma. Anyat, or somebody may call it shunyam or whatever. So what it is can be a question of debate. It's a debatable thing, could be debated. But the swayam that is avivadam, that cannot be debated. Tasya bhavastu nadigamyate na bhavastu adhigamyate. And therefore we cannot arrive at the abhava, the shunyata. cannot say it's non-existent. Swayam, no one can, it is non-existent, because if it's non-existent, then this question or debate itself would not have arisen. Shunyatadu na pramaniki. The shunyata, the non-existence of that swayam is not pramaniki, meaning that cannot be arrived at by a pramana or a means of knowledge. Kuta? Why do you say that you cannot arrive at the shunyata of swayam? Bhava bhavagnatastasya tasya bhava abhavagnyatah. This swayam is bhava bhavagnyah. He is aware of bhava and abhava both. The swayam is aware of bhava, presence of something, abhava. That is why the debate arises, whether bhava is there, abhava is there, bhava bhava is there. The fact that this debate arises that something is or something is not is because the one who is making argument is aware of something being there, something not being there. So bhava bhavagnya, the knower of bhava and abhava, presence and absence, that knower is there. Otherwise this debate itself would not have arisen. Loka vyavahara siddhanam bhava bhava abhignatvat. So loka vyavahara siddhanam bhava bhavanam. The bhava, something is, abhava, something is not, is loka vyavahara siddham. Is something that is a matter of our experience, that we know something is and something is not. You cannot deny that. That vyavahara is not there. That transaction is not there. That notion is not there, that something is and something, because the vyavahara, the life is based on that. That pot is and then, elephant is not. So our vyavahara is all based on the knowledge or awareness of bhava and abhava. So I treat bhava, what I think is bhava in some way and what is abhava in some other way. So what vyavahara we carry out is all based on our awareness of bhava and abhava. And therefore that one who is aware of bhava and abhava cannot be denied, otherwise vyavahara cannot take place. Anyatha sthirasya kasya sakshina abhave. If there is no sakshi of bhava and abhava, then no vyavahara is taken, because every vyavahara reveals an awareness of bhava and abhava. You follow? That's the idea. Anything that I do or say or think involves an aware of what is and what is not. Now, what I think is may not be what I think is, but then whenever I do something, think of something, say something, it reveals my knowledge of bhava and abhava. Something being there, something not being there. Therefore, if you don't accept and aware of bhava bhava, then no vyavahara can take place. Tasya vyavahara kasid bhati. Suppose someone claims that I know that even that witness also is non-existent, abhava. Only yasya bhati tasyeva sattva prapte. The one who claims that even the witness of the bhava is not there, it is that fellow is there. He is again witness of abhava of the knower of the bhava, So one who says the abhava of bhava bhavagnya, abhava of the knower of bhava bhava, at least then he is aware of the abhava. So you can't say there is no one aware of bhava and abhava. No shunyat. Therefore you cannot arrive at shunya, ultimate reality. You cannot arrive at shunyatam by any pramana. By any experience or by any reason you can't arrive at. Yena adigamyate bhava tat sat syat yena adi abhava. Yena abhava adigamyate tat sat syat. That's the first line of verse 32. Even if you say that I am aware of the absence of the knower, at least then you would accept the one who says he is aware of the absence of knower. Tanna ched bhavet, then there is a question. If you don't accept that even the knower of the absence of knowing is there, you don't accept it. Bhava, abhava, anavijñatvam, lokasya syat. That ultimately, when the loka, the world of people, will not know the bhava and abhava, then na ishyate, there is no vyavahara will be possible. So, in refuting the kshanikatvam, the momentariness, kshanikavada or shunyavada, basically we are presenting our day-to-day life as a very evidence. It is established. That we are living life, we can't be denied. And that becomes the basis of at least dismissing these ideas of momentariness and the shunyatvam or non-existence. Athva uktamartham prapanchayati, or what is said earlier, yena adhigamyate abhavaha tat satyat, yena abhava adhigamyate sarvasya tat sadeva syat. So either you can say that someone who claims that I know the abhava of the knower, then his bhava is established. Or what was said earlier, that bhava, bhavajnaha, tasya abhava na adhigamyate, that explains yena abhava adhigamyate tasya abhava tatsadeva syat. So one who knows the absence of everything, he is there. Vipaksha, if you don't accept, do not accept the existence of the one who knows the presence and absence of things, vipaksha. That's the first line of verse 32. Tanna ched bhavet, that last. Tanna ched bhavet, that's vipaksha. In case you do not accept the presence of the knower of bhava. Then bhava, abhava, anavijñatvam, lokasya syat. Then it would amount to saying that people do not know the bhava and abhava. Na chaishyate kenapi abhijñah nirakartum na shakyate. Then bhava, abhijñah, the knower of bhava and abhava cannot be denied by anybody because the nirakartu, the one who denies has to be there. Tasya satvat, that being there, tasya apahanvachanam swanuma viruddham. So if you say that I don't accept the knower of absence and presence, then you are accepting the presence of that, and therefore there is no way that you can deny the existence. You can't deny your own existence ultimately. And so existence cannot be denied. What you are denying is debated. You are denying bhava, bhava, shunya, atma. What you are denying can, but that somebody is denying, and one must be present or existent to deny something, has to be there. So shunyam is not pramanik. We can't arrive at shunyam by any pramana. Go to the next verse, yadyapi bhava bhava vibhagajñam kinchid asti devagatam. All right. So that we kinchid asti, there is someone or something. That is abhijñam, there is a knower of, aware of the bhava and abhava. Because if you dismiss, then to say that it is not there, the one who says it is not there has to be accepted. Tathapi tat kidushamidi. And still, what is that one? Is it jnanam, atma, shunyam? Remember that vikalpa? So that vikalpa was there in the verse number 31. Swayam namasti avivadam saravadinam sacha jnanam va, atma va, anya shunyam va. Iti param vikalpa. That vikalpa continues. That has not been resolved yet. First we are establishing the presence of the one who does debate. One who claims various things, his presence is excellent. No, what is the nature of that fellow? Sat kidrusham. Iti vishesha nirdharane karanam nasti. To say that he is Sat or real, there is no reason. The knower of the bhava is Sat. To establish that, what is the reason? Karanam nasti. Iti asankya. Tat swarupam upapadayati. The swarupa. Now the nature of the knower of the bhava and abhava. Because that cannot be denied. So what is swarupa of that? Is shunya? Is it kshanika? Is it what it is? Saditi. So let us read the verse again, 33. Sadasat sadasat chedi vikalpat pragyadishyate tadadvaitam samattvatu nityam chanyad vikalpitat. Sad, asat, sadasat. Three positions can be there. Sat is, asat is not, sadasat is and is not. Iti vikalpa. So this is vikalpa. These are options. These vikalpa, the options are there that you can arrive at the nature of the knower of bhava. Bhava is sat, asat or sadasat. Vikalpat pragadishyate. But before this vikalpa, before these conclusions of it is there, not there, there and not there, yadishyate, that about which this vikalpa or this debate is going on, this difference of opinion or the projections are going on about that, about which these vikalpas are there, about which this debate is there, about which this kalpana is there, it is there, not there, etc. So that, what is the nature of that? Vedanta dadvaitam vastu, that has to be non-dual. Samatvat, because the same in all of them. In Sat is there, Asat also is there, Sadasat also is there. Because then alone it can become the object of debate, understand? Somebody says it is, somebody says it is not. Somebody says it is snake, somebody says it is mala, a garland, somebody says there is stick. So these are the vikalpas with reference to what is. So that has to be accepted, number one. And secondly, there has to be nirvishesha. All vishesha, such as snake, such as a garland, such as a stick, that are superimposed upon what? Has to be some equal in all of them. It must be there in snake also, must be there in mala also, must be there in danda also. Then only these different imaginations, projections can be there. And therefore it must be devoid of all these ideas, nirvishesha. And therefore advaita, nirvishesha, it must be advaitam, samatva, because it is sama in all these vikalpas. So that is subject to all these projections or opinions. Has to be there in each opinion. When someone says this is mala, someone says a snake, someone says this is a stick, so it must be there in each one of them, isn't it? Otherwise, how can you say it is stick, etc.? Samatva, it may be equally there in all of them. Must be nirvishesha. And therefore, nothing can be separate from that. Meaning the snake cannot be separate from that, stick cannot be separated from that. So that must be non-dual. Nityam cha, these fellows are coming and going. The kalpana of snake comes and goes, the stick comes and goes, what doesn't come and go is there, nityam. Vikalpitadanyam. The snake is a vikalpana, the stick is a kalpana, the mala is a kalpana, that must be different from them. They are all perishable, coming and going, incidental, that must be something essential. Must be equally present in all of them. Nirvishesham, Advitiyam. So in fact, the very fact that this debate is going on, that different opinions are held about an entity, itself proves what that entity is. You follow? That it is snake and it's this, that itself proves that entity is nirvishesham. It is not projected, it is adhishthanam, and nothing is separate from it, is separate from all of them. So Advaitam. So this debate itself proves, you don't need anything else. That's what the teacher says here. So Tikakara says, Sakshi Swarupam, Jagat Sat Asat Sadasad Rupam Irchyo Vikalpam Vivadaha. Vikalpat Prag, Vivadat Prag, Vivada. All these, the contentions, different contentions are there. Sat, Asat, Sadasat. These are three possible things. That Jagat is not, Jagat is and is not. So, somebody says Jagat is real. Dhruvam kaschit sarvam. What is sarvam? Dhruvam kaschit sarvam. Sakalam of dhruvam. Dhruvam means there is something permanent, real. Adhruvam is not there at all. Dhruvya, dhruvya. Somebody says there and not there. An effect is not there, a cause is there, things like that, So these kind of debates are Yovika Vivada. This Vivada is there, these contentions are there. So Vivada, contention can be there provided there is something to contend about. Tasma Vivadat Prageva Siddham. So that which is Siddham, which exists, which has to be there before these contentions arise. Why do you say that? Niralambana vikalpanupatte. Somebody say it is snake, it is garland. That something has to be there about which this contention is going on. Niralambana vikalpanupatte. Vikalpa, Vivada, dispute, contentions cannot be for something that is non-existent. It has to be there. So first of all, we arrive at the existence of something about which this Vivada or dispute is going on. If there is nothing there can't be a dispute. Then, Yat Swarup Yadishyate. See, Sat Asat Sadat Satchaiti Vikalpat Prag Yadishyate. That which is accepted has to be there. Yat Swarupam Ishyate. So what is the Swarupa of that which has to be there before these contentions arise? About which the contentions are there. What is the Swarupam of what? This is a matter of contention. Tadadvaitam Vedantin says. That is non-dual. Is neither snake, nor this, nor that. Is all of them. Which is all of them and which is different from them. Because vikalpitat anyata, they are all vikalpana. They are all projections. Therefore, that has to be, something has to be there for the projections to be there. And that has to be different from these projections. Samatvat, says Tika, vikalpat, Prag, Vishamihitu, Abhavad Ityartha. Samatvat. It must be sama. It must be equally present in the snake also, in the mala also, stick also. Otherwise this vikalpa or this vivada cannot be. Somebody sees a given thing, calls it snake. Somebody sees the same thing, calls it the garland. Somebody sees the same thing, calls it stick and so forth. And therefore, it must be devoid of all these kalpanas, all these notions. Vikalpat prag, vaishamyatva bhavat. That samatva must be there, which equally in all of this vivada. And then people projected snakeness upon that and strictness upon that. But Vikalpat Pra, that Vishamata was not there in that entity which is there, which is rope in this case. So, this is all Dvaita. The snake, the stick, the garden is all Dvaita. And Jada Dvaita is always Jada. Is Drishyam, is created, is Achetanam. So what that is something Virakshanam, different from Dvaita, this duality of the snake, etc. Jada, because they are all projected, they are created, therefore they are unconscious. It must be Virakshanam, different from Dvaita, different from Jada, must be consciousness, must be non-dual. That is the Swarupam of that entity about which the debate is going on, contention is going on. Avinashitvam. The projected things are always vinashi, incidental. Because no, it looks like it is snake. No, I think it is a garden. Same fellow will say, and different conditions. They are all standpoints. Visheshantaram nityam chaiti. So it has to be nityam. They are all nitya. What is projected is anitya, and the adhisthana must be nityam. And anyad vikalpitat anyad anurta vilakshanattvena satyatvam cha visheshantaramaha. Vikalpitam is projected, is mithya, anrutam, false. Vikalpita anyat, something distinct from that, different from that, must be real. So anruta, vikalpitam is anrutam, projection. Anrutam, false, mithya. Vikalpita anyat. So anruta vilakshanattvena satyatvam, then what is different from anrutam is satyam. What is different from mithya is satya. Satyatvam cha visheshantaramaha, therefore it must be satyam. Then says vikalpat, first line vikalpat pragishyate yadishyate idyatra. So that which exists before this vikalpa or contention, so it must be existing on its own. Svata siddhatva, it must be existing on its own, then only it can become the matter of contention. So, Svata Siddhatvottaya Jnana Swarupamuktam Uktya. There is Svata Siddha, self-existing, so self-shining, therefore Jnana Swarupam. Advaitamiti Ananantyam. So by saying it is Vikalpat Pragadishyate, that which has to be accepted to be existing before this contention, that how can you say it is existing only if it is self-shining, so it is Jnana Swarupam. Also different from the snake and all the vikalpa, therefore equally present in all of them Advaitam. And so there is no Advaita Anantya Muktam. Because, see, when there are two things of equal reality, then each one will limit the other. In Dvaita, each one is equally real. Then each equally real part will limit the cloth because partness doesn't have clothness and vice versa. For limitation, a second real thing must be there. When it is non-dual, the second real is not there, there is nothing to limit, so it is Anantam also. So Advaitam Anantyamuktam. This Advaitam, non-dual, it implies also Anantyam, free from any anta or limitation, limitlessness. Nityamidi Kutasatvoktya. Then you said Nitya. Nitya means what? Avinashi. Indestructible. What is indestructible? That is Nirvikara. Kutastha. See, will not end only when it doesn't begin. When it doesn't begin, doesn't have any other modification also. So when you say Nitya, Nitya means Avinashi, indestructible. Thereby already you are implying that it is changeless. Kutasam. No, Kutastha means what? Changeless. Dukkha abhava. Dukkha can be there when there is change. Because what we are seeking is infallible. Something that does not disappoint me, is always trustworthy. See, dukkha or this unhappiness or sorrow is there when I find something different from what I thought it was. When I cannot trust, something is changing, not faithful. Nityam, kutastham, changeless, ever the same, can never disappoint me. Therefore, I cannot be disappointed. There cannot be sorrow. It's always reliable, trustworthy. There is no dukkha. Dukkha bhavaha. Suti tattva. Tadevina, dukkha bhava is always accompanied by ananda. That's the only thing. Dukkha bhava means ananda. There is no dukkha. So, tad avinabhuta anandarupata dhvanita. So even though several things are not stated in so many words, but all of them we arrive at. They are all implied when we see reason. Dhvanita. Therefore, anandarupata dhvanita. By saying it is nityam avinashi, so saying it is changeless kutastha, means that it never changes, therefore it is ever the same. Therefore it never disappoints you because changes, you expected you something and now it turns out something else. Therefore sorrow cannot be. So absence of sorrow means ananda. So tathacha satya. So satya, jnana, ananta, ananda. All of these things are established simply by reasoning. Dvaita jada vilakshanatvam. It is chetanam, svata siddham, satyam. Jnanam, because svata siddham. Anandam, because dukkha bhavaha. Anantam, because advaitam. Advaitam, so anantam. Kutastham, so anandarupatvam. Yet svata siddham, therefore it is existent. Satyam, therefore it is self-effulgent. So satyam, jnanam, anantam, anandam. Rupam atmatattvam iti anuvadeva siddham. The very anubhava itself establishes that Atma has to be satyam, jnanam, anantam, anandam. Na tatra karanantaram Bhrigyam, therefore. So, that's that kidrusa swarupam iti. We accept that there is an knower of bhava. The question was, what is the essential nature of that? If you just dwell upon that, you arrive at satyam, jnanam, anantam, anandam. You're experiencing that. Point is, you are experiencing the bhava sakshi, that is you, and that itself shows that you are non-dual, and that you are avinashi, that you are kutastha, there is no dukkha in you, there is ananda, there is anantam, because non-dual. Anubhavadeva siddham. Your very experience itself establishes this. Iti na tatra karanantaram bhrigyam. Therefore, you don't need any other karanam. Somebody saying something, somebody not saying something, you are the you are the one who establishes that. Nanavide, dvaite, pratiyamane. Wait a minute. All kinds of duality, divisions are very evident we are experiencing. Kasam advaita matata anuva. How do you say I am experiencing? So he says, now the author says, teacher says, you are experiencing advaita tattvam. Because it is self-existing, self-shining, and it is avinashi, kutastham, dukkha bhava, you are experiencing that. Therefore, pay attention to what you are already experiencing. Pay attention to what you already are. But I am experiencing so much Dvaita or duality. How can you say I am experiencing non-duality? Iti, if that's the question, ataha, then the answer is given. Either the next verse answers that question, that how can you say that what I am experiencing is non-dual when I think I am experiencing all kinds of duality? Yadva or Drashtu Satyatvam Upadya. Verse 33, Upadya, with Upapatti, reasoning, establish the Satyatvam, the reality of Drashta, or Bhava Bhava Sakshi. Drishyasya Vikalpagmataya. Now let us talk about Drishya. The Drashta is Satya. Drishyasya Vikalpagmataya. Now Drishya lends itself to Vikalpa. We said there cannot Vikalpa without Drashta as established. Now Drishya, present in Vikalpa is there, Sat, Asat, Sadasat. Vikalpa Anutatvam Pratipadaya. The fact that it is subject to contention means that it is false. It's only an appearance. Vikalpatmakataya. That Jagat Vikalpatmakam. It is the nature of one that lends itself to Vikalpa, this debate or contention, means it is false. Anutatvam Pratipadayati. See what an excellent way of us arriving at by simple reasoning, just analyzing our experiences. So verse 34. Vikalpod bhavato sattvam swapna drishya vadishyadam dvaitasya pragasatvacha sadasattvadikalpanad. Vikalpod bhavatah. Because this is what the Jagat is Vikalpod bhavam, is the product of Vikalpa. Asatvam, therefore is Sat or Mithya. Swapna Drishya, like the Swapna Drishya, what is perceived in the Swapna is a result of projection. And therefore it is Asat or Mithya. So also this is a result of projection because Vikalpas are going on. So it is like Swapna Drishya. So the Tika says, Dvaitasya asatvam paramartatva dushisyatam. Asatvam, see now, verse 30, first line. Asatvam, second asatvam ishyadam, that's what is connection here. Vikalpodbhavatah asatvam swapna dushyavad ishyadam asatvam, and second line is Dvaitasya. So connect these three words. Dvaitasya asatvam ishyatam. Dvaitasya asatvam, that Dvaita is asat, mithya means what? Paramartha. It doesn't say it is non-existent, understand. It is asat meaning mithya. Paramarthatva abhava. The Dvaita doesn't have absolute reality. So Vedanta evolved another category between this absolute Paramadika Satya and Asat or non-existent, and then in between there is this Mithya. So it is Paramathatva Abhavaishyadam. This Dvaita. Sat means Paramatha. Sat means Paramarthata. Asatvam Paramartha Abhava. So may you say that, may you accept or recognize that what is Dvaitam cannot have absolute reality. Kutaha? Why do you say that? So pratigna. Dvaitasya asatvam ishyatam. Asatvam, what is explained as Paramarthatva Abhava. So that Dvaita is mithya, is an appearance. Let it be accepted. Kuta, why? Vikalpod bhavatah So vikalpa rupen udbhutatvat, because it is created as a vikalpa. Not vikalpata, but vikalpa rupen udbhutatvat. It's very vikalpa. Vikalpa also means kalpana. It has arisen as a kalpana only, this drushya. How? Swapna drushyavata. Now in swapna or the dream we have very clear experience. Yet drushya is vikalpa rupana udbhutam. The drushya, what is experienced in the dream, is nothing but vikalpa, kalpana. Because it is completely negated when you wake up. Therefore, swapna dushyasya asatvam ishyatam. Swapna dushyam is not paramarthikam, not real, because it is completely negated when you wake up. So then swapna dushya is now for us the illustration. Then jagat dushya is no different. Dushyatvat, dvaitatvat. So swapna dushya, we arrive at when swapna dushya is mithya or asat, yad drishyam tad asat, because swapna dushya is drishyatvam. Jagrat dushya also is drishyatvam, therefore it is also asat or mithya. And swapna is vikalpa rupana udbhutam, it has arisen as a vikalpa or a projection. And therefore Jagrat also is dvaitam drishyam projection. So Tikaka dvaitam na paramasat drishyatvat sapna drishyavadeti. Dvaitam na paramarthasat, the dvaitam. You say that I am experiencing all kinds of dualities. I am experiencing all kinds of divisions in the universe. How do you say that non-dual is real? So the divisions or duality experience, let us examine what is the reality of the dvaita that you are experiencing. Dvaitam na paramartha sat, that dvaitam cannot have absolute reality. Dushyatvat, because the drishyam, experiencing, is an objective experience. You say that I am experiencing all kinds of divisions or duality, which means that division or duality you are experiencing, it's an objective experience. It is drishyam. Then like swapna drishya. So swapna experience says that whatever is experienced is mithya. And therefore, the claim on your part that I am experiencing all kinds of dvaita, then how can a dvaita be non-real? Because dvaita is unreal. Therefore, so one hetu is drishyatva. Second is what? Pragasatvacha. That it did not exist just as the deep sleep, and the dream did not exist in the deep sleep. The dream is thought to be a product of sushupti. In sushupti, there was no dream, there was no duality. So just as dream is pragasat, it was non-existent before it arose, before it was perceived. Had it been absolutely real, it can never not be there. What is called Paramadika Satyam is that Trikala Bhaditam, and thereby it cannot not be there in all the periods of time. So Trikalebi Tishtati, Trikalebi Sat, in all the 3 periods of time has been there. But this is Pragasatvam, this is Pragabhava. Dream did not exist before it was projected. So Dvaita is unreal, number 1, because it is drishyam. Number 2, it did not exist before you perceived it. So Pragasatvacha Satsattvadi Vikalpanat Prag Asatvacha Swapna Dushvadi Sambandha. So this vikalpana, this contention, whether it is there or not there. Suppose that about dream there is this kind of vikalpana or contention, is it there or not there? That thing did not exist before this kalpana arose. Kalpana could not arise unless it became drishyam. So number because it's Drishyam, it is Mithya, and it became Drishyam that only when you do the Kalpana or this kind of contention, only when it is Drishyam. Not before it is there. It did not exist in deep sleep before its creation, projection. And so also the waking world is Mithya, because in reality is no different from the duality of dream. How do you say that? This question is always arising. There is no world in the deep sleep. There is nothing in the deep sleep. The world does not exist in deep sleep. How do you say it exists for everybody else? This question arises. How do you say that in deep sleep there is nothing? For this fellow sleeping, it is not there. How about for rest of them? How do you say the rest of them, what they are experiencing is there? Dvaitasya ajñāta sattve pramanam nasti. There is no pramanam that what is ajñātam, what is not known, is there. How do you say it is there? When you do not know something, how do you say it is there? No, Swamiji, there is something underneath, but then you imagine something underneath the earth, within the earth also, that way at least you know. Pratyakshataya, parokshadaya, but something which is unknown. But unknown, how can you say it is there? Dvaitasya ajñāta sattve. That Dvaita is there, its sattva is unknown, na pramanam asti, there is no pramanam. So pramanam can be there only with that which is experienced. If it is not there before experience, then it was not there, it is non-existent. So prag utpatte prag abhava. Its non-existence before appearance, and drishyatvat, because it is negated for two reasons. That drishya means it is subject to negation, and number two, it is created that it did not exist before its creation. So swapna has two things. Number one is drishyam. Second one, it is projected. So what is projected did not exist before the projection, and what is projected also is negated, subject to negation, therefore also it doesn't exist after negation. It did not exist before creation, does not exist after negation. For these two reasons, it doesn't exist in reality. If it exists in reality, you can never dismiss it. Jñāyato dvaita mithyātam upapadya. The dvaita is mithya, upadya, arriving at reasoning, with reasoning, establishing that jñāyata with reasoning. Shastradapi. So far we only presented the reasoning. You know why reasoning is presented? Because some kind of reasoning is used by us to arrive at our conclusion. When someone says that I have been experiencing various kinds of dvaita, the duality, how do you say that non-duality is truth? So let us see what you are experiencing, the duality you are experiencing. The fact that you are experiencing means it is mithya, like sapna drishya. And also it did not exist before you experienced, therefore also it is mithya, pragabhava. So therefore, with reasoning it has been established now. Shastradapi, Shastra also clearly says that Jagat is mithya, tad mithya upannamiti. Meaning Dvaita is mithya. See, how do you say Atma is Advaita when I am experiencing Dvaita, various kinds of Dvaita? Dvaita that you are experiencing has to be mithya. That is extract by reasoning. Shastra also says Vacharamana. Vacharamana Shastracha Vikaranam Hyabhavata Mrityosya mrityumityadehe Mama maeti ca smritehe. Vacharamana shastracha Vacharammanam Vikaro namadeyam Mritika ityeva satyam. Wow. So that's how it is. Right there, of course, then the Tika also. Vacharambram vikaro namadeyam. Vikara, what is modification? What is created? Is vacharambram. Has no reality other than vag or the word namadeyam. That a pot is created, the pot has no reality other than the word pot. There is no real substance. In this entity, there is a substance called clay. So when you use the word clay, there is something, clay lends into some entity, some vastu. When you word pot, where does it land? There is no vastu or entity corresponding to the word pot, really. We use the word pot, all right, now that's our fancy. But if you analyze what a pot is, you'll find that there is no substance or there is no tangible entity called pot. That's why it's called vikalpa. Vikalpa means a kalpana. Shabda anupati says there is no something that does not correspond to the word. Like you say that mirage water, you know. Mirage water is an expression, the words are all right. But what is mirage water? Amounts to nothing. Forget about, how about pot? Is there a substance or a tangible entity called pot? The tangible entity is only clay. Take away the clay, there is no entity called pot. So even pot also is what? Vikalpa. Yoga Shastra, Shabda Jnana Anupati Vastu Shunyo Vikalpa. So when a Shabda is uttered, then a Jnanam occurs in your mind but doesn't have a Vastu. So when you say mirage water, that word is there, and so it may create something in you which has no corresponding entity. That's called Vikalpa. Skalpana, Mithya. Everything is like that. Vacharanam, Vikara, whatever is Vikara, what is created, is only Vikalpa. Very important, serious things actually. So Vacharamanacha Vikaranam Yabhavata Vacharam Vikaro Namadim. So what is Vikari Vacharam? Has really no more than the word. There is no entity, a substance, a tangible entity corresponding to that word. So says the Tika Vacharam Vikaranam iti Shruti Shastrat. So Shastrat means Shruti, Shastrat. Shruti says, the Upanishad says, the Veda says, Vikaranami abhavata. So that the Shastra clearly says that Vikara is non-existent, its only reality is the word. Vacharamana also means that which is only supported by vag or speech, hanging on the speech, created by speech. Arambha also can be creation. Vagarambha, it is only created by speech. Pot is created by speech, not from clay. Only created by speech. Now it is only in reality, it's a namesake, that's all it is. Vikara abhavata siddha iti shesha. So that very statement of the Upanishad also establishes that what is Vikara is non-existent. Now, how do so Tikakara further explains us. Vacharambana shabda hai anutattva vachana avagamyate. This expression Vacharambanam, the fact that Shastra uses the word expression Vacharambanam, Anuttara vachana, that Anuttara vachana, Anutattva vachana, that it is Anutam, that means that is Anutam. Vacharambanam, when you analyze the meaning of that word, we arrive at Anutattvam, falseness, non-existence. Why? Mrityaka ityeva satyam iti. Because Upanishad says, what is satyam? Mrityaka ityeva satyam. So Vacharam, Vikara is Vacharambanam and Mrityaka is satyam. If Mrityaka is satyam, then vikara is what? Mithya. So vacharam means mithya. So meaning of the word expression vacharam must be mithya because the Upanishad itself declares mritika etyeva satyam. What is called mritika? Iti means upadana karanam. This means it is satyam. Therefore, vikara, creation is vacharam, but means mithya. So vacharam should amount to asat or mithya or anutavachano, avagamyate. So from that expression, the meaning of the word vacharambanam, we arrive at anutatvam because mritika is karane satyatva. So karanam mritika is upadana karanam. Karanam is called, so iti means upadana karanam. Upadana karanam is called satyam. Therefore the karyam is mithya. So karyam is vacharambanam. So vacharam means mithya. Then next line, mrityo samrutyamidi. Mrityo samrutyamidi shastrena Dvaita darshanam ninditatvat. Mrityo samrutyam gacchati yaiha naneva pashyati. In this, in Brahman, one who sees duality. You claim that you are experiencing all kinds of duality. Where do you experience? Mrityo that you are not experiencing, you are concluding. You are not experiencing duality. You are projecting duality. You have a notion of duality. That's why mrityo samrutyam gacchati. If you think that duality that you are experiencing is real, you are doomed to go from one death to another. Ishastan dvaita darshanasya nindatatvat. By saying that you go from death to death, if you give reality to duality, that means duality is not real because reality of duality is condemned. Dvaitasya tadayogat arthat anutatvam tasya uktam ityartha. Satya, so satyatve dvaita darshanasya ninditatvat satyatve dvaitasya tadayogat. Dvaitasya satyatve. If dvaita was satyam, tadayogat ninda ayogat. See, tadayogat means what? Ninda ayogat, ninditatva ayogat. So satyatve dvaita means dvaitasya satyatve tadayogat ninditatva ayogat. If dvaita was satyam, then it would not be subject to ninda because satyam cannot be condemned, and then the fact that it is condemned means it is not satyam. Arthat anutatvam. Therefore, the fact that dvaita darshanam, dvaita means dvaita darshanam, giving reality to dvaita is condemned, that means dvaita is a satyam or anutam mithya. So, therefore, anutatvam tasya uktam. Therefore, by condemning dvaitam, it is declared that it cannot be satyam, satya cannot be condemned. Fact that dvaitam division is condemned means it cannot be satyam. Then what is it? It is anutam. Therefore, anutatvam tasya uktam. So by ninda of dvaita darshanam, Upanishad is in fact saying it is anutam. Then Mama Maya Duratya, Lord Krishna says in 7th chapter, Mameve prapadyante maya metam tarantite. Devi Hesha Gunamayi Mama Maya Duratya. Lord Krishna says that Esha Devi, this is Maya, which is my upadhi. Gunamayi, made of 3 gunas. Duratya, it is extremely difficult to cross as long as it is given reality. Mame, those who give me the reality, they see the mithyatma of the Maya. So, Mameve prapadyante maya metam tarante iti gunamayaha. Maya is gunamayi. So, 6 cases gunamayaha, sakaryayaha, mayayaha. All these 6 cases. So, Maya is the primary word, of which Sakarya is again an adjective, Gunamayi adjective, Sakarya adjective, Maya. Gunamayi, Sakarya, Maya. Paramatma Jnana Nivartya. So because Tattva comes everywhere, you can simplify it like this. Gunamayi sakarya maya paramatma jnana nivartya. Bhagavata anuशासनात्, because Bhagavan said, Mameve prapan maya metam taranti they cross the maya, they transcend the maya, they negate the maya. Meaning maya is transcendable, crossable, negatable. Means that it is not there, otherwise you can't negate it. Means just an appearance, it is false, mithya. Satyatve tadanupatte. If Maya was Satya, Lord Krishna also could not say, you can cross the Maya, because Satyam cannot be transcended. It is transcendent reality. That Maya can be transcended means it is mithya. Mayikatvam dvaitasya siddham, therefore dvaita is mayikam. And Maya is another, mithya. And Maya gives rise to mithya. Therefore, Shastradapi, by the statement of Shastra also, Shruti and Smriti, it's very clear that Dvaita Mithyatam, Dvaita is Mithya, is very clear. So not only by Yukti, but by Shruti also. Okay. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutrahashya Krutau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmedi Murti Bheda Vibhagine Vyomavad Vyapta Dehaya Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.